In Formula One, people often say, the fastest car wins. But is that really true? Because time and time again, we've seen that speed alone doesn't guarantee victory. Sometimes it's about something much more dangerous, outsmarting your rival. Every overtake, every pit stop, every defensive move is like a move on a chessboard. Except here, the chess pieces are traveling at 200 miles per hour, and one wrong calculation could end in disaster. Today, we're breaking down moments where F1 drivers used more than just horsepower. They used psychology. They used cunning. They used mind games. And in some cases, they rewrote the rulebook of racing itself. So buckle up. Because this is F1 drivers outsmarting each other on track. And hey, before we dive in, let me ask you, if you had to choose, would you rather be the fastest driver on the grid, or the smartest? Drop your answer in the comments. Formula One isn't just about cars and engines. It's about mental warfare. Imagine you're chasing someone down the main straight. You move slightly to the inside, just a hint that you're going for a move. They glance in their mirrors, panic for a split second, and brake just a little earlier than usual. Congratulations, you just gained 0.2. This is racing psychology. Drivers plant seeds of doubt in their opponents' minds. They fake moves. They change their lines just to unsettle the driver in front. Historical anecdote. Back in the 1950s, Juan Manuel Fangio, 5-time world champion, was famous not just for speed, but for his brain. At the Nürburgring, he would deliberately slow his pace to trick his rivals into overdriving, pushing their cars too hard. While they struggled with overheating brakes and worn tires, Fangio swept past with ease. Think about that. In a time without radio communication, without fancy data screens, Fangio was playing mind games in real time, while driving on circuits that were basically death traps. That's not just racing. That's survival intelligence. Few rivalries in F1 history showcase outsmarting, better than Ayrton Senna versus Alain Prost. Senna, raw aggression, heart on his sleeve. Prost, nicknamed the Professor, for his calculated, cerebral approach. Their clashes in the late 80s and early 90s were pure chess at 200 miles per hour. Suzuka 1989, Prost forces Senna off at the chicane, sealing the championship. A tactical move, bending the rules of sportsmanship. Suzuka 1990, Senna retaliates. At turn 1, he doesn't back off. Both cars crash. Senna wins the title, by taking Prost out. Here's the big question, was this outsmarting, or just plain dirty driving? Did Senna prove his point, or did Prost win the mental war by baiting him into desperation? What do you think? Would you call this rivalry the ultimate chess match in F1 history? No driver in F1 history blurred the line between genius and controversy quite like Michael Schumacher. He was fast, yes. But his true weapon? His ability to manipulate a race. Monaco 2006, Rasgas incident. Schumacher mysteriously locked up and parked his Ferrari at the tightest part of the circuit. The result? Rivals, especially Alonso, couldn't complete their flying laps. It was later ruled intentional, but Schumacher had already made his point. Outsmarting the system by bending it. Silverstone 1998, the penalty trick. He was handed a stop-go penalty. Normally, that ruins your race. But Ferrari pulled a loophole. Schumacher served his penalty, on the final lap, by diving into the pits and crossing the finish line in the pit lane. He won the race before the officials could even react. Outsmarting not just his rivals, but Formula One itself. Would today's F1 allow something like that? Or was Schumacher playing a game that only a genius could pull off? Fernando Alonso may not have as many titles as Schumacher or Hamilton, but ask any driver. He's one of the smartest on track. Hungary 2021, Alonso versus Hamilton. Hamilton had fresh tires and a much faster car. But Alonso? He defended with precision, lap after lap, forcing Hamilton into awkward angles and burning his tires. Those extra laps gave his teammate Esteban Ocon enough breathing space to take a shocking victory. Singapore 2008, Crashgate. Yes, it was controversial. But Alonso's win, after his teammate deliberately crashed to trigger a safety car, showed the lengths of strategic manipulation in F1. A darker kind of outsmarting, but still, undeniably effective. When you think of Alonso, do you see him as a master tactician, or the mastermind of some of F1's most infamous controversies? The hybrid era gave us one of the most tense rivalries, Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg. 2014 Bahrain, duel in the desert. Wheel-to-wheel for lap after lap, Hamilton didn't just rely on speed. He used clever ERS deployment, saving battery to defend at exactly the right moments. Rosberg had the faster car, but Hamilton outthought him. 2016 Monaco qualifying. Rosberg, locked up at Mirabeau, parking in a runoff and bringing out yellow flags. Just like Schumacher, it conveniently stopped Hamilton from setting a faster lap. Accident or outsmarting? You decide. 2016 Spanish GP crash. Neither man wanted to back down. In a split second, they outsmarted themselves, both cars out. That moment symbolized their entire rivalry. Two drivers trying to psyche each other out, until neither could hold back. Would Rosberg have ever beaten Hamilton without the mental side of the battle? Probably not. Outsmarting was the only way. Enter Max Verstappen. Young, aggressive, and fearless. But don't mistake aggression for recklessness. There's intelligence behind it. Fake dive bombs. Verstappen often fakes a move under braking, forcing rivals to compromise their line, leaving the door open later. Brazil 2019 outsmarted Hamilton with creative racing lines, making overtaking look inevitable rather than risky. Abu Dhabi 2021 restart, the most controversial finish in F1 history. Verstappen timed the restart perfectly, staying glued to Hamilton's gearbox until the exact moment the green flag waved. One shot. One championship. Engagement. Do you think Verstappen is the modern-day Senna, combining aggression with intelligence? Or is he creating his own playbook entirely? Not all outsmarting is dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. Drivers lifting slightly earlier to bait an opponent into overshooting. Weaving just enough to break the slipstream without crossing the line. Tire mind games. Sebastian Vettel was brilliant at this, pretending his tires were worse than they were, only to unleash blistering pace later. Even pit walls play this game. Red Bull bluffing Mercedes into early pit stops. Mercedes responding with double-stack brilliance. Sometimes, the smartest people aren't in the cockpit, they're on the pit wall. With modern F1, dominated by data, DRS trains, and AI-driven simulations, does intelligence still matter as much as it used to? I'd argue yes, maybe even more. Because when everyone has the same tools, it comes down to who uses them better. Young drivers like George Russell and Oscar Piastri are already showing glimpses of clever racecraft. Could they become the next professors of racing? Audience speculation. Who do you think is the smartest driver on today's grid? Alonso? Verstappen? Maybe even someone like Lando Norris? Let me know what you think. So, what's the takeaway here? Speed wins you races? But intelligence? Intelligence wins you championships. From Fangio to Senna, Schumacher to Alonso, Hamilton to Verstappen, the history of F1 isn't just written in lap times. It's written in moments of pure genius, where one driver outsmarted another. And if you enjoyed this journey through the mind games of Formula One, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and tell me in the comments, what's your favorite example of a driver outsmarting another on track? Because who knows, the next great chess match at 200 miles per hour might already be brewing.